How to manage emotions without suppressing them. Picture this scenario. You suppressed anger at work, held back with an irritating colleague, didn't show disappointment from a failed project. Then you got home and exploded at your loved ones over something trivial. Sound familiar? Here's the paradox of modern life. The harder we try to control our emotions, the more they control us. 8 out of 10 people regularly suppress negative feelings, thinking this will help them cope with life. In reality, we're only making things worse. What if I told you that everything you knew about managing emotions is wrong? That suppression isn't the solution but the problem? And that your brain was originally designed not to fight feelings but to collaborate with them? Today we'll break down how the human emotional system actually works, and why the traditional advice to just pull yourself together isn't just useless, it's harmful. Every day we experience dozens of emotions, from mild annoyance to deep joy. And each time we face a choice, what to do with this? Most of us choose the path of resistance. We get angry at anger, fear our fear, feel ashamed of sadness. We wage war against our own feelings and lose it every single day. But imagine a world where emotions become not enemies, but allies. Where anger signals that important boundaries have been violated, fear alerts us to be more careful, and sadness helps us reassess our values. Sounds fantastical? Actually, this is the natural state of human psychology. Today we'll study 4 scientifically proven approaches to emotional regulation. You'll learn why your brain creates emotions, how to stop fighting them and start using them. We'll discuss cognitive reappraisal, the art of seeing situations from different angles. We'll explore the connection between body and emotions, and learn to work with feelings through physical practices. Next, we'll master the paradoxical technique of acceptance, when non-resistance rather than opposition becomes the key to change. And finally, we'll create a personal emotion management system that will work specifically for you. It's important to understand, this isn't theory. Every method has been tested in practice and has a solid scientific foundation. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear action plan for any emotional situation. Part 1. The neurobiology of emotions. How it really works. To effectively manage emotions, you need to understand how they arise. Imagine your brain as a house with several floors. In the basement lives an ancient alarm system, the amygdala. Its job is simple: scan the environment and sound the alarm at the slightest danger. The amygdala works incredibly fast. It analyzes a situation in half a second and triggers an emotional reaction before you realize what's happening. See a suspicious shadow in an alley? The amygdala has already activated fight or flight mode before you understood it's just a bag fluttering in the wind. On the top floor of our hypothetical house sits the prefrontal cortex, the wise analyst. It receives information from the amygdala but processes it slower and more carefully. It's the prefrontal cortex that helps understand, is the situation really dangerous or is this a false alarm? Between them sits the insula, the translator that helps you become aware of what's happening in your body. Heart beating faster, palms sweating, muscles tensing. The insula translates these signals into understandable emotions. Now it's important to understand a key point. Emotions don't arise randomly. This is a complex system of prediction and survival. Your brain constantly predicts what might happen and prepares the body for action. Fear mobilizes you to fight threats. Joy motivates you to repeat successful experiences. Anger gives energy to protect what's important. The problem begins when we try to silence this ancient system. Suppressing emotions is like trying to turn off a fire alarm while leaving the fire burning. Externally, it seems the problem is solved, but internally, the tension only grows. Moreover, suppressing emotions requires enormous energy expenditure. The prefrontal cortex works to exhaustion, trying to drown out signals from the amygdala. It's like holding a heavy weight all day. By evening, there's no strength left for anything. But there's good news too. The brain has neuroplasticity, the ability to change throughout life. Proper emotional regulation techniques literally rebuild neural connections. Areas responsible for awareness and control become stronger, while zones of impulsive reaction become calmer. Think of it as muscle training. The more often you use healthy ways of working with emotions, the more automatic they become. After some time, the prefrontal cortex learns to quickly and effectively interpret signals from the amygdala, not suppressing them, but transforming them into useful action. Next, we'll look at the first practical strategy, cognitive reappraisal, which will teach your brain to see situations from different angles. Part 2. Cognitive reappraisal, the art of reframing. Here's a simple truth that can change your life. It's not events that affect your emotions, but how you interpret those events. One person sees getting fired as a catastrophe, another as an opportunity to find their dream job. Rain for one person ruins plans, for another creates a romantic atmosphere. The difference isn't in the events, but in how they're perceived. Cognitive reappraisal is the art of changing your perspective on a situation. Imagine you're a photographer. The same landscape can be shot in dramatic dark tones or in soft golden light. The subject is the same, but the perception changes dramatically. It's important to note, this isn't self-deception or trying to convince yourself that bad is good. This is finding alternative, more adaptive ways of understanding what's happening. When you change your interpretation of an event, the brain automatically adjusts the emotional reaction. Let's look at a specific example. Your project at work failed. First thought, I'm a failure, they'll definitely fire me. Emotion, shame, fear, despair. But what if you look at it from another angle? I gained valuable experience and understood what needs to change in my approach. Now the next project will be much better. Now try the detective thinking technique. When facing a negative situation, ask yourself questions like a real detective. What exactly happened? What are facts and what are interpretations? Are there alternative explanations? What would an unbiased observer think? Another powerful tool is changing time perspective. In the moment of trouble, it seems like it's forever. But try asking yourself, how will I relate to this in a year? In 5 years? Often it turns out that today's catastrophe tomorrow becomes just an experience, and the day after tomorrow, even a source of pride. The third technique is role switching. When emotions are overwhelming, imagine your problem happened to your best friend. What advice would you give them? How would you help them look at the situation? Surprisingly, we treat others much more gently and wisely than ourselves. It's important to remember, reappraisal doesn't always work instantly. Sometimes you need time to find a new perspective. Don't pressure yourself with the demand to feel better immediately. First, just find an alternative interpretation, even if it doesn't emotionally resonate yet. For example, your boss harshly criticizes you. Instead of, he hates me, you might think, maybe he's having a difficult day, or he sees potential in my work and wants me to become better. The emotions might not change immediately, but the seed of new understanding is already planted. Regular practice of reappraisal literally rebuilds the brain. The prefrontal cortex becomes more active and the amygdala less reactive. You begin to automatically seek constructive interpretations instead of catastrophic ones. But reappraisal works with thoughts. What do you do when emotions have already taken over the body? Next, we'll study body-oriented regulation techniques. Part 3. Body-oriented regulation. Working with emotions through the body. Here's what's important to understand. Emotions aren't just mental processes, but bodily sensations. Anger clenches jaws and tenses shoulders. Anxiety speeds up heartbeat and makes breathing shallow. Sadness creates a feeling of heaviness in the chest. Body and psyche are inextricably linked, and this connection can be used to regulate emotions. Imagine emotion as music playing simultaneously on different instruments. Thoughts are the melody, and the body is the rhythm and bass. You can try to change the melody, but if the rhythm remains tense, the music still sounds anxious. Working with the body allows you to change the entire emotional soundtrack. Let's start with the simplest and most effective tool: breathing. When we experience stress, breathing automatically becomes shallow and rapid. This is a signal to the brain: danger is near, be ready for action. But we can trick this system by consciously slowing and deepening our breathing. Try the 4-7-8 technique. Inhale through your nose for 4 counts. Hold your breath for 7 counts. Slowly exhale through your mouth for 8 counts. This simple technique activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's natural calming mechanism. Now, pay attention to your body. Where do you feel tension? Most often, it's the shoulders, jaw, stomach area. Each emotion has its own map in the body. Anger concentrates in the upper part: head, shoulders, arms. Fear drops into the stomach and legs. Sadness is felt in the heart and the throat area. Study your personal emotion map. Next time you feel a strong experience, scan your body from head to toe. Where does it respond? How exactly? Compression, heaviness, burning, hold. Awareness of bodily sensations is the first step to working with them. Next, use progressive muscle relaxation technique. It's like first clenching your fist tightly, then suddenly releasing it. The contrast makes relaxation more noticeable. Tense a muscle group for 5 seconds, then completely relax. Start with your toes, move up. Calves, thighs, stomach, chest, arms, shoulders, fahi. Don't forget about the power of movement. When emotions boil over, the body demands discharge. Stuck energy of anger or anxiety can be released through physical activity. This doesn't necessarily mean the gym. Squats at home, a brisk walk, even energetic cleaning will work. This technique is especially effective. When you feel a strong emotion, allow your body to move as it wants to. Want to clench your fists? Clench them, but consciously. Want to hunch over from sadness? Do it, but with attention to sensations. Then slowly return your body to a neutral position. Often the emotion leaves along with the tension. It's important to note, working with the body doesn't mask emotions, but helps them go through their natural cycle. Every feeling has its own energy, and this energy must find an outlet. Through the body, it transforms ecologically without harming you or others. But what if the emotion is so strong that neither reappraisal nor bodywork helps? Then you need a radically different approach: the acceptance technique. Part 4. The technique of acceptance and observation. Mindfulness in action. Now I'll tell you about a paradox that can completely change your relationship with emotion. The harder you try to get rid of an unpleasant feeling, the stronger it becomes. It's like fighting quicksand. The more actively you resist, the deeper you sink. What happens when you resist an emotion? you create secondary tension. To the primary emotion, say sadness, is added anger at yourself for being sad. To fear is attached shame for being afraid. To anxiety joins panic from not being able to calm down. You get emotion about emotion, and the intensity of experience doubles. The acceptance technique offers a radically different approach, not fighting the emotion, but allowing it to be. This doesn't mean passivity or submission. This means ending the internal war that only increases suffering. Imagine emotion as a wave in the ocean. You can try to stop it, block its path, crash it against the shore. But the wave won't disappear from this. It will only become more chaotic and destructive. Or you can allow it to approach, reach its peak, and naturally roll back. This is the natural cycle of any emotion: rise, peak, decline. Now try the inner observer technique. When experiencing a strong emotion, mentally step back and look at yourself from the side. Interesting, now I'm experiencing anger. It feels like heat in my chest and tension in my arms. Here it's intensifying, and now it's slightly weakening. It's important to observe, not analyze. You don't need to figure out where the emotion came from or what to do with it. Just watch how sensations in the body change, what thoughts come and go, how the intensity of experience fluctuates. Try the emotional interview technique. Mentally address your feeling as a separate being. Hello, anxiety. I see you're here. What do you want to tell me? What are you warning me about? Often behind unpleasant emotions hide important messages about violated boundaries, unmet needs, necessary changes. Next, use the cloud metaphor. Imagine your consciousness as a cloudless sky and emotions as clouds drifting across it. Some clouds are dark and stormy, others light and airy. But they're all temporary. The sky remains unchanged regardless of what clouds cross it. This technique is especially effective when working with obsessive thoughts and strong experiences. Instead of fighting, you create space for any experience. Yes, I'm experiencing panic now. It's unpleasant, but it's part of human experience. And this will pass. Acceptance doesn't mean inaction. You can acknowledge an emotion and still take reasonable steps to improve the situation. The difference is that you act from a state of inner peace, not from the chaos of resistance. It's important to understand that the average duration of any emotion is about 90 seconds if you don't feed it with thoughts and resistance. Even the strongest experience has a natural limit of intensity and time. Now we'll combine all the studied approaches into a holistic emotional regulation system. Part 5. Integrated approach. Creating a personal system. Now that you know 4 main strategies for working with emotions, it's important to understand there's no universal recipe. Emotional regulation is the art of choosing the right tool for a specific situation. Imagine you have an emotional first aid kit with different medicines for different states. For weak emotions, when intensity doesn't exceed 3 out of 10, simple techniques are enough. A few deep breaths, quick situation reappraisal, conscious relaxation of tense muscles. It's like a mild headache. Doesn't require serious intervention, passes with simple measures. When emotions are medium intensity, 4 to 6 points, you need more serious tools. Here, a combination of cognitive reappraisal and acceptance techniques is effective. First, try to find an alternative view of the situation, and if that doesn't work, accept the experience as temporary and allow it to pass naturally. Now let's look at strong emotions. 7 to 10 points. When you're overwhelmed by panic, rage, or despair, cognitive techniques often don't work. The brain is in survival mode and rational approaches are unavailable. Here you need body-oriented methods. intensive breathing, physical discharge, working with muscle tension. It's important to note, for critical states, don't hesitate to seek professional help. Psychologists and therapists aren't a sign of weakness, but a tool of self-care, like a doctor for physical illness. Next, create your emotional prevention system. Daily 10-minute mindfulness practice works like a vaccine against emotional storms. This can be meditation, breathing exercises, body scanning, or just a mindful walk. Keep an emotional journal. Record not only what you felt, but what helped cope with the emotion. After a month or two, you'll see your patterns. What situations trigger you, which techniques work better, what time of day you're most vulnerable. Don't forget about personalizing the approach. Some people respond better to cognitive techniques. They like to analyze and rethink. Others are more responsive to body practices, movement, breathing, physical discharge. Still others find peace and acceptance in observation. Experiment and find what works specifically for you. Remember the principle of gradualness. Emotional regulation is a skill that develops with practice. Don't expect instant results. Like physical exercise, emotional techniques have a cumulative effect. What requires effort today will become automatic in a month. Create an action plan for different situations. What will you do during conflict with a loved one? How will you react to criticism at work? How will you cope with anxiety before important events? A pre-planned strategy will help you act consciously, not reactively. Now is the time to move from theory to practice and create your personal emotional regulation plan. Conclusion. We've taken a fascinating journey through the world of emotions and their regulation. Now you know the main thing. Emotions aren't enemies to be defeated, but allies you can negotiate with. Suppressing feelings doesn't solve problems, but only creates new ones. True mastery lies in the ability to hear emotional signals and respond to them wisely. You've studied 4 powerful emotional regulation strategies. Cognitive reappraisal will help you see situations from new angles. Body-oriented techniques will teach you to work with emotions through breathing and movement. Acceptance practice will free you from useless struggle with inevitable experiences. And the integrated approach will allow you to create a personal system that suits you specifically. It's important to remember, emotional regulation isn't a one-time achievement, but a lifelong practice. Each day gives new opportunities to apply learned techniques and become a little wiser in relationships with your own feelings. Your action plan is simple. Choose one technique and practice it for a week. Notice how your reaction to stressful situations changes. Keep an emotional journal. This will help track progress and understand what works better. Remember, the ability to regulate emotions affects all areas of life: relationships, career, health, overall quality of life. This is an investment in yourself that will pay off many times over. Start today. Your emotions are waiting not for battle, but for understanding. Give them a chance to become your helpers, not hindrances. Managing emotions isn't about controlling them, but about wise cooperation. And now you know how to do it.